that really looks... Oh, okay, I'm not gonna pull up this picture anymore. I'm not gonna look at it anymore. Chris Weidman, you are my hero. Like, what? You know that this might happen, and you still go out there. You guys, Chris Weidman, if you watched that match and you saw that, what happened to him, the occurrence that happened, it's just so insane. Like, his leg, oh. And I don't know, what do you guys think? Why did this happen? Comment in the section down below. I personally think that maybe it's because, well, first of all, he's like 36, right? And also on top of that, I think that maybe the problem was that I assume he had to cut his weight a little bit, and when you cut your weight, I'm not sure how much time you have after weighing and before the match, probably like a day or two, right? And it's not enough time to replenish those vitamins and minerals that are out of your, that you are depleted of. And I think that maybe that's really the problem. But at the same time, like, we are here to talk about sports psychology and not nutrition. And I'm sure probably there has been some sort of mistake done by his either nutritionist or someone, because clearly, like, his body was not ready. His body wasn't ready to do what he is. Oh my gosh, I opened up my phone and I saw this photo again. But let's talk about psychological part of it all, and how he recovers, and what I think he should do in order to recover from that. So as far as I understand, he was practicing with Anthony Smith before that, because Anthony Smith did say that usually Chris Weidman is someone who cuts the corners because he's the champ, but this time he really actually was preparing for this fight, and he still failed. And that was not just like a failure, that was most people's nightmare. That's why if you are an athlete, a professional athlete, I would not recommend that you pay too much attention to that, because what you pay your attention to grows, and what you pay your attention to usually tends to manifest itself, and there is no sort of esoteric type of explanation to it. I think it's just how you program your mind, and what you focus on really does grow. If you focus on Habib, I mean, obviously you have to put your work in. But anyway, yeah, let's not talk about... I gave my advice. Basically, if you want, take it. If you don't want, obviously leave it. But so basically, he has done his all, right? He at least as far, if we believe Anthony Smith, right? And there are so many situations like that in sport. Let's take Maria Sharapova, right, who was in this doping scandal, and she couldn't even fight it all, right? Like, sometimes you give it your aura, or you give it your all, and you go out there and you still are not able to succeed. And a lot of times it happens at the beginning of your career, whatever your career is, right? Like, first 3 years, basically all of us suck. Doesn't matter what we're doing, and if it's sport, usually it is like 5 to 6 years, like first 5 to 6 years. People tend to absolutely suck at what they're doing, right? But then as time goes on, and you if you overcame this like beginning period of your time, right, where you absolutely suck, but you persevered, you start winning, and you start winning, and then you almost start to forget that basically sometimes failing is normal. Actually, if you are on your way to success, failing is normal. But this is not just failing. This is actually horrible. But at the same time, this has happened. As far as I understand, he is gonna have to go through surgery. Most probably, maybe he is going through surgery right now. But how to recover from that, I don't know. If he definitely is gonna need time to recover from that mentally and physically, right? Because a lot of times, especially with athletes, especially at the very beginning, like when stuff like that happens, you physically have recovered, but you still have that block in your mind, right? Like that fear. I don't know if he's gonna fight, but especially if you already broke your leg, right? It's very sensitive spot. So it takes a lot of courage. And the dude is, as I've said at the very beginning, is 36 years old. But let's just imagine that he wants to keep going, right? Let's imagine that I'm his personal psychologist. And he comes over and he's like, hey girl, I want to keep going. What should I do, right? Well, first and foremost, right, there needs time needs to pass by, right? When something that traumatic happens to you, right, you need certain amount of time, right? And you can't rush things, and you can't be impatient and be impatient with yourself, and be so annoyed by because you're not where you want to be mentally yet. Obviously it takes time. People need time to recover from that. Also, there needs to be in order to regulate your emotions, there is this there is a lot of research showing that you need to cognitively reappraise what has happened, right? Especially in sports like that, where failures like that, where it's very painful. Like, what I'm trying to say, I guess, here is that MMA and fighting is very similar psychologically and even in terms of fitness to tennis, but it's not the same, because in tennis matches, tournaments, you lose every single time, right? Here, it's like a big deal, especially if something like that happens. So you need to have cognitive reappraisal. You need to make this you need to reappraise this failure into something maybe positive, so a learning experience, growth experience, right? And you need to also, I believe, in order to, especially if he has already experienced something so traumatic, right? As traumatic as what he did, right? He needs to, I believe, and I'm very biased here because I really like existential therapy and I really like existentialism overall, like really find meaning, because that is a lot of suffering. And no one says that I mean, when you start this sport, you kind of realize that this is part of the game. This is why people are watching, right? I'm sorry, because there is a lot of suffering and real human, maybe even fear going on. Not maybe even, obviously there is fear. And in order to be able to kind of live with that and be okay with that amount of pain, I think you need to have this sort of meaning as to why you're doing that, as to why would you, because obviously any sane person is not gonna go out there again and do that again. And honestly, I don't think he will come back, simply because, and I'm gonna explain myself why I think so. Because he's 36 years old, and I don't believe that he's like hungry enough for money and stuff. I think he is gonna be done. He has family, he has children. I don't think his wife, obviously, he doesn't want to see him like that ever again. And he is basically not hungry enough, and I think he wants to live for his wife and kids. I'm not sure actually if he has kids, but I assume he does. And I think it's been enough for him. But imagine, like, if he was like, let's say 26 years old, it would have sucked, right? Because his career was just beginning, and in that case, we would really in a therapy or he by himself, because I know that, like, for example, even Maria Sharapova, she has read Viktor Frankl, and she has said that she has told multiple interviewers that it is one of the most profound and important books she has ever read. So either with a therapist or by himself, he or any athlete needs to figure out, like, why am I doing what I'm doing? What's the purpose? What's like the bigger philosophy here? And if you find that, almost anything can become bearable. And I'm gonna insert Nietzsche quote here, because that's the quote that has helped actually Viktor Frankl to go through a concentration camp for 4 years. What do you guys think about it? Comment in the section down below. This was Oh, this was one of the craziest fights I ever saw. Honestly, I wish I could unsee it. And that looks disgustingly painful. So go to my channel, watch my other videos. They're gonna be even more interesting than this one. And I guess I'll see you in the next one.